Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving into some truly bizarre archaeological discoveries that completely challenge everything we thought we knew about history. I absolutely love unpacking these kinds of mysteries with you, mostly because they remind us that the ground right beneath our feet is still hiding some major secrets. We're going to explore findings today that honestly look like they belong straight in a horror movie, but as you'll see, they actually reveal some profound truths about ancient human life.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Why on earth would someone bury a child in chains? It's an incredibly striking, visceral image, isn't it? Just imagine unearthing a grave and finding a young child face down with a massive, heavy iron padlock chained to their foot. It immediately sparks our absolute darkest imaginations. But, as we're going to see in today's explainer, the true story behind this discovery, and several others exactly like it, is actually completely grounded in human psychology, fear, and basic survival.
So here is our itinerary for today. First, we'll examine Egypt's severed right hands. Then we'll decode the secret Giza room. Third, Poland's shackled vampire child. And finally, Arabia's underground ancient sanctuaries. Let's get right into it.
All right, Part 1. Egypt's severed right hands and the mystery at Avaris.
Okay, picture this. It's 2012, right? An archaeological team is out excavating an ancient palace in Egypt. They're scraping away the dirt, probably expecting to find some shattered pottery, maybe some ancient coins. But instead, a stark white bone emerges. And they keep digging, and eventually they unearth a staggering 16 human hands. But here is the truly bizarre part. They found absolutely zero other body parts attached. Nothing. And on top of that, they were all right hands. Not a single left hand in the entire mix. They were buried with the fingers pointing upward, almost as if they had literally been planted in the dirt like seeds. Oh, and to add to the mystery, these hands were significantly larger than those of modern humans, which told researchers they belonged to a race of tall, incredibly powerful people.
Naturally, when news of this hit the internet did what it does best. Wild claims started flying everywhere about black magic, portals to other worlds, alien rituals, the whole shebang. But the actual archaeological truth? It's far more chilling. Lab tests confirmed these bones were 3,600 years old. They date way back to the arrival of the Hyksos people, a group who captured Egypt and established their capital at Avaris. But that still leaves the big question, why just the right hands?
Well, what's really wild is how a completely different location actually solved this mystery for us. About 500 kilometers away in Luxor, there are hieroglyphics on the walls of the Medinet Habu temple that depict scenes of soldiers counting severed hands. Turns out, this was something called the Gold of Valor. It was a brutal but I guess highly efficient accounting system. When a soldier returned from battle, he would present the right hand of his enemy. Taking the right hand basically ensured the enemy could never hold a sword or a spear against them ever again. In exchange for this pretty grisly proof of victory, the soldier got paid in gold. So no, it wasn't aliens or dark magic. It was just a very brutal military reward system.
Okay, moving on to Part 2. The secret Giza room and the anomalies beneath the pyramids.
Fast forward to just recently, May 2024. A team of geophysicists are working right outside the iconic Giza Pyramids, using ground-penetrating radar to look beneath the surface. Now, they were literally just about to pack up their gear for the day when their monitors suddenly spiked. The radar revealed this massive L-shaped underground tunnel. We're talking 10 meters long and 15 meters wide. And right beneath that, a giant hollow cavity, looking exactly like a hidden room buried deep beneath the earth. So immediately, conspiracy theorists jumped all over this data, claiming the team had finally found the mythical Hall of Records, that legendary underground library people always talk about. But the reality here is actually deeply rooted in the practical genius of ancient engineering. Researchers quickly realized this wasn't some mystical lost library, but rather a highly practical construction trench.
Let's actually walk through how they did this, step by step. Step 1, ancient engineers would dig out a massive trench. This served as a ramp to drag those impossibly large stones into place, or it acted as a protective path for a tomb. Step 2, they complete the monumental construction of the tomb itself. And then Step 3, the clever part. Once the work was completely finished, the architects deliberately filled that trench back in with limestone and sand. Why do that? Well, it kept the area perfectly flat and completely secure from tomb robbers. So that hidden room wasn't a library at all. It was just the ingenious hidden footprint of ancient construction techniques.
Let's head to Part 3. Poland's shackled vampire child in a 17th century panic.
In August 2023, archaeologists in Poland were excavating a graveyard that was specifically meant for society's outcasts. And this brings us right back to that haunting question from the beginning of The Explainer.
So, in the 1600s, a very real vampire panic swept across Poland. During this mass hysteria, a local child ended up contracting tuberculosis. Now, put yourself in the shoes of these villagers for a second. They have absolutely zero understanding of germ theory. None. All they see is a child growing inexplicably pale, super weak, and coughing up blood. To them, this isn't a microscopic bacteria at work, it's supernatural. The child tragically passes away, but the villagers' panic doesn't stop there. Terrified that the child is going to rise from the dead to feed on the living, the villagers actually went back and reopened the grave. They physically turned the body face down and shackled a heavy iron padlock to the child's foot just to pin them to the earth.
The media obviously had a field day with this and quickly dubbed it the vampire child. But this supposed supernatural monster was entirely a product of pure human fear. The tragic medical reality is that this was simply a very sick child suffering from tuberculosis. I think it's a really powerful reminder that history is rarely about actual monsters. It's so much more often about the tragedies that happen when human fear collides with a complete misunderstanding of science.
And finally, Part 4, Arabia's underground ancient sanctuaries and the secrets of the Giza lava tube. So deep in the scorching Saudi desert, researchers ventured down into the Giza lava tube. It's this massive hollow tunnel left behind by ancient volcanic activity. And what they found down in the dark was just staggering. A huge, massive collection of human skulls and bones. Radiocarbon dating revealed that these remains were over 7,000 years old. Now, finding a giant collection of ancient human bones inside a pitch-black volcanic tube sounds like a literal underworld, right? But hold on, we have to look at all the evidence here. Alongside the human bones, they also found ancient stone tools, and crucially, they found rock art. And this rock art depicted a vibrant, entirely different environment than what's there today. So the key takeaway here is that this evidence doesn't point to some dark underworld of death. Instead, it completely rewrites our understanding of the ancient climate. It proves that 7,000 years ago, the Arabian Peninsula was actually much, much greener.
Which brings us to what these lava tubes were actually used for. Giza wasn't a sinister mass grave, it was a 7,000-year-old strategic transit point. For ancient shepherds who were navigating the shifting, changing landscape, these massive underground tunnels provided absolutely vital protection from the blazing sun above and honestly a highly defensible position against wandering bandits. So what looked like a terrifying underworld was, in fact, a vital sanctuary for human survival.
We've seen severed hands that turned out to be ancient accounting ledgers. We've seen a hidden pyramid room that was actually just a brilliant construction trench. We've looked at a chained vampire who was tragically just a sick child, and a bone-filled volcanic cave that was, in reality, a safe haven for ancient travelers. It really leaves us with this one big thought to wrap up today's explainer. What other monsters out there are really just history waiting to be understood? Think about that the next time you see a crazy sensational headline about the ancient world. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.